We are just going to chat for a few minutes while we get everybody on our webinar. Welcome to today. I hope you guys are all staying warm for those of you that are out there in South Dakota. I'm fortunate enough that I am down here in Houston because tonight is the beginning of our 3-day alumni events. So we have some in downtown Houston, out in Katy, Texas, and in the Woodlands area. So we're super excited to see everyone down in the Texas area. And it's going to be a high of 81. So I'm sorry to all you South Dakotans that are sitting in there in the cold. I hope you're staying warm and staying safe. Well, I just want to welcome everybody to today's Lunch and Learn. It's about our Tiospaye program here at South Dakota Mines. For those of you who haven't met me yet, my name is Shelly Kordager. I am the Director of Alumni Relations here at Kerk, the Center for Alumni Relations and Advancement. Before we start today, I do have a few housekeeping items. We are recording today's Zoom, and it's going to be uploaded to our Kerk YouTube. This does take a couple days, so be patient with us. I want to encourage everyone to go ahead and use the chat function to say hi and let everyone know who's here, your major, and your graduation year. If you're students or faculty, please let us know who you are and what you're studying. To use that chat function, you're going to click the word bubble at the bottom of your screen. A chat window will pop up. Please switch your responses to all attendees. If you have a question for either of our speakers today, either Dr. Kerk or Heather, please put those in the Q&A section at the end of this presentation. They will answer them for you. I'm going to start the chat off with my email. Please reach out to me anytime. I'd love to hear what departments you want to hear about or what topics you're interested in. If you would like to host a local area alumni event or have one hosted for you in your area, I'd like to get that going for you, so please reach out to me. So I think we've got most everybody on here. Go ahead and make sure that in that chat function, you change it to everyone and start telling us who is on our Zoom. And while you do that, I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Carter Kerk. Dr. Kerk is a professor in industrial engineering department, and he started at South Dakota Mines in 1997. He specializes through education, research, and consulting in ergonomics, human factors, engineering, safety engineering, and American Indian STEM education initiatives. His BS and MS degrees are in industrial engineering from the University of Nebraska and his PhD in industrial engineering from the University of Michigan. Dr. Kerk is a professional engineer, certified safety professional, and certified professional ergonomist. Carter is the director of our Tiospaye Scholar Program, which he started in 2009 with the help from Lakota elders, providing support in 5 areas for our American Indian students in the STEM degrees: financial, academic, professional, cultural, and social. Starting in 1998, and then for 18 years, he has worked with the South Dakota Gear Up Honors Program for American Indian students 9th through 12th grade. So with that, I would like to introduce Dr. Carter Kerk. Dr. Kerk, go ahead and unmute yourself and start your video. There we go. Hi.
Hello there. Hey, I am Carter, and I am the third most interesting, exciting person you're going to talk to today, following Shelly and Heather. Okay, so anything I say that excites you, great, and then you'll even get more interested in what Shelly and Heather have to say. But thank you so much for your time. I'm going to get my PowerPoints up here, and Shelly, you need to tell me if is it sharing on my screen? Is it shared up there?
It's not sharing yet, so go ahead. Let me see if that's me though, Carter. There you go.
Okay, great. If you have any questions at all about anything that I say, again, like Shelly said, just type them into the chat, but also I've got my email address, my cell phone number. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me anytime you want. I would always be glad to answer your questions. Shelly, you help us keep track of the time. And Heather, I'm going to talk for a few minutes before I turn it over to you. Okay. So again, the Tiospaye Scholar Program, we're so honored that we've been invited by Kara and the Alumni Association to help us, to allow us to do this. On most of the slides, you're going to see pictures of some of our Tiospaye scholars that have graduated. These are all Hard Rocker alums and lots of different majors over the years. So what is our vision and mission is we are really interested in trying to increase the number of American Indian students that are getting their bachelor's degrees, actually STEM degrees, bachelor's, master's, PhDs in engineering, science, and mathematics. We want to help prepare these students as leaders, and we want to have them help serve our state of South Dakota, their tribes, the region, and the nation. Why it is important, if you are familiar with South Dakota, you know we have 9 Indian reservations in South Dakota, plus many more around the region and the country. Our reservations in South Dakota, there's many challenges. What can we do to help with these challenges? Well, one of the brightest hopes is education. And we have that great opportunity here at South Dakota Mines. We're in the right place. And we have the right types of degrees to really do that. So we're really excited about doing that. Underrepresentation, as again, you probably already know this, American Indians make up, really less than 1% or less of the population in the United States. In South Dakota, it is, according to the Census Bureau, it's 9%, but if you look at mixed heritage, it's certainly much closer to 15 to 20%. But very few American Indians are getting degrees in engineering and going into the workforce, and very, very few are engineering faculty members. So the Tiospaye Scholar Program, the name was given to us by Stacy Phelps, one of our Lakota elders that helps us very much. I gave it when I first started the program, I gave it a very appropriate title that an engineer would give. This is a support program for American Indians students in engineering and science and math. That was the title I came up with. Stacy said, "Oh my gosh, that's too boring. Let's call it the Tiospaye program," and explain to me what the word Tiospaye means. And this is a really important point today. Basically, it's a Lakota word which basically translates to extended family of support. Think of it in the old days, at least for on the plains. You're trying to subsist by following a buffalo herd, and those buffalo can provide you a lot of the things you need for food and shelter and such. And a single family unit would have a very difficult time trying to follow a buffalo herd. But a group of families working together, that was called a Tiospaye. They'd work together and were much more successful. So that word has been fabulous for us. It's helped us with and I've been to every high school on all 9 reservations in South Dakota, all the tribal colleges. I can walk in and say, I do walk in and say, "Hey, I'm Carter from the School of Mines. I want to tell you about our Tiospaye program." They all know what Tiospaye is, and they just say, "Okay, tell us how it works." When I'm talking to folks that are not native, they're like, "What is that word and how do you pronounce it?" And many of you in the audience are probably in that group. And so now you learn how to pronounce it, Tiospaye. You know what it means. And if you help us, then you are in the Tiospaye program. And whether you like it or not, you're in it and you can't get out. Once you're in, you can't get out. Okay. So very much of an academic oriented program. Our goal is to help increase the number of American Indians earning STEM degrees. We say recruitment, retention, and graduation. Those are our big 3 goals. We have these 5 areas of support: financial, academic, professional, cultural, social. Everything we do fits into those 5 areas. And I'd be glad to answer questions and talk about those some more. I don't really want to go to a ton of detail on the history, but we've been really working on this for 25 years. And it's not something we just made up last week. I always talk about the first decade, kind of 2000 to 2010. We had no money. And we basically were working with students that were transferring from Oglala Lakota College. That's what OLC stands for, Oglala Lakota College. They were taking pre-STEM classes there, like calculus, chemistry, and physics, and then transferring to School of Mines to get degrees in engineering and science. We really had no money, but I helped to advise and mentor those students. Then we were really fortunate to get 3 NSF, National Science Foundation, STEM awards during the next decade of 2010 to 2020, almost $2 million. 85% of that money had to go to scholarships. And during that decade, we graduated 50 American Indian students in engineering and science degrees. Along the way, we've had several private donors and corporate donors, and I've listed some of them there. And we're now up to 58 graduates, okay? If you're one of our donors, we love you. Okay, so the Tiospaye, again, if you help us, you're in the Tiospaye. Well, we've had great support from our presidents and provosts and administrators and so on. We have a great group of cultural elders, that Lakota elders that help us so much. I could talk about them for just an hour if we can get it, Shelley, to give us another hour. And then pretty much every office on campus. And if I start naming them, I'll forget some, but you can see them on this list. But think about admissions office, financial aid office, career planning. It goes on. And we have always had like an ally in every academic department on campus too, faculty members, so that when we recruit a student that say wants to go into electrical engineering, we have a faculty member in that department that already knows all about the Tiospaye program, can help us recruit that student, and also can help be an academic advisor. We modeled our program off elements from 3 different programs: University of Alaska Anchorage, Montana State, and University of Texas El Paso. Again, I could tell a lot more about that, but we don't really have time today. But we stole as many ideas from them as we could. And when we have several partners, in addition to Oglala Lakota College, the Sanford Underground Research Facility, South Dakota Space Grant, the NSF All Nations AMP program, which is our big funding now since 2020, and then lots of private and corporate donors. So here's during that decade of 2010 to 2020, where we graduated 50 scholars and we had the $2 million from NSF. We were a little more interactive with the students than we can be at the moment. And then and where we're going to be in the future, we're going to get back to more of this model, but very interactive with students. A typical scholarship that you guys are all familiar with: a student is awarded a scholarship, and if anything, somebody gives them a pat on the back and says good luck. That is not how our program works. It's very interactive. We actively recruit. We require the students to come and do mentoring with me, and we hire mentors. We have bi-weekly professional lunch meetings, tutoring. We cohort them, like when they're taking Calc 1, 2, 3, we try to get the students into the same section of Calc 2, for example, so they can sit together in class, they can study together, and so on. We do a lot of scholarship coaching and career planning for summer research opportunities and so on. We have some great study rooms thanks to the Malone family. And we require our students to be members in ASIS, that's the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, as well in their specific department professional societies. And we have a couple of fun activities: Thanksgiving potluck and nerd ceremony. Here's some pictures from the nerd ceremony, where we give the students some black glasses with some white tape, and we get a nice cake, and we print up some cool t-shirts that are in Lakota with a triple integral and a differential equation that actually are very meaningful. And we really have a lot of fun with this. One of the cool things we do at this event is we have the seniors that are getting ready to graduate get up and give just a little impromptu speech, and every one of them says, no, I'm not going to do it. But then every one of them does get up, and it's usually a tearful speech on their part and very touching for everyone. So now we graduated 50 up to 2020. We've graduated 8 more since 2020, and we're going to graduate a couple more. We're going to hit 60 here in May. The School of Mines has graduated more than that. I'd like to make sure that you're aware of that. These are just the ones that have come through our program. There are more American Indians that are not in the Tiospaye program. Only 30% have been female. We're always working on that. You can see all the different majors. Several of them are working for their tribes or with their tribes in some way. Several have completed master's degrees, and one has completed a PhD, and one is an MD. Okay, an anesthesiologist. We're very proud of all of them. Now, this might be the most important slide I'm going to show you today. What have we learned? The name of our program really works. It opens up discussions for us. We are focusing on degree completion. Sometimes we get maybe folks try to distract us in another direction, but that's really been a successful thing, is focus on graduating students. Our 5 areas of support really work. Another question is, hey, if you had more money, do you really think you could find the students to fill those scholarships? And the answer is absolutely yes. One of the most exciting things we witnessed that we didn't expect was something I call the critical mass, where we actually recruited and got enough students into the program and had a study space, and they just kind of took over. There was enough of them there that they held their own study sessions. They were texting and calling the students that were missing and saying, where are you? They were mentoring the younger students, telling them, hey, here's what you need to do to pass calculus, chemistry, and physics. Every one of those alumni is very excited to give testimonials, and that's what we have Heather Rogers for today. Food is a great thing, and support around campus is great. And I think with that, I want to switch over to Heather for a while, and then I'll come back and finish up on my part of the presentation. So Heather, if you would tell us a little bit about yourself.
Before Heather starts, would you mind stopping your video so we can see her beautiful face?
That would be a really good idea. So stop to share. And then Heather, we're going to want you to tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, your heritage. How did you get to the School of Mines? What did you do at the School of Mines? And what have you been doing since? And you guys should really take notes on anything Heather says.
Hi. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Kerk and Shelley, for putting this together. And thank you for having me. I'm here to give my testimony to this Tiospaye program. My name is Heather Rogers. I am a 2018 a graduate from the School of Mines. I received my electrical engineering degree from South Dakota School of Mines, along while playing basketball and being a part of the Tiospaye program. And so about my journey through here, through the Tiospaye program, I was recruited through Coach Larson was at the time, was recruited to South Dakota School of Mines, did not have all the funds. He was giving me a part-time scholarship, but in a few of the early on calls, the coach was able to, got me in contact with Dr. Kerk, and he says, we have a Native American program on campus. And so then I was able to call Dr. Kerk up, and we got to emailing, and he was able to help me get up to fully funding my trip up there. I was far from wanting to leave Arizona to go to the cold. I'm not about the cold. I've been in the valley of Phoenix for quite some time beforehand, and did not want to move up to the cold. So it took a lot of convincing, but then with that, working with Dr. Kerk, he was able to help me get some extra funding for books and living on campus and everything like that. And so went up there, started my journey there. Was not a huge fan of the school, honestly. After my first semester, and with basketball, I wanted out. I really did, and was ready to pack it in. Sorry. Coming from the reservation, I went to a small little school on the reservation. It was a Navajo preparatory school. It was a school designed specifically for Native American kids off the reservation. We lived there, boarded there for 4 years. Having the culture around you, you never really know what's life without it. And that was a huge shock for me going to South Dakota, because like I went there and my entire basketball team was, I feel like I was the only diverse, say, on the team, the women's team. So they took me in. I love them. Met some of my best friends on the team. But getting there was an entire culture shock, because you don't have anybody out there. I was 15 hours from home, and it was tough. Wanted to pack it in. Then I met, sorry, this is emotional. I met Dr. Kerk, and I met him. He greeted me on campus first day. He had a few of the fellow Tiospaye members. When I arrived, he had some of the Tiospaye members unload my stuff and get me settled in my my little room there at the Rocker. I think that's a Rocker 1. And then it was great. And then like I kind of went through the semester, was struggling, really struggling. And then I started being more involved with the Tiospaye program and going down and into the Tiospaye rooms where to study. I was struggling in school, and would go down there and seek the tutoring that was happening. Dr. Kerk helped us along with our books and getting us excellent tutors to help the students. And so I'd go down there, and there was another fellow electrical engineering student at the time. And so we were able to sit down and help each other through the programs with the tutors and everything. And that's where I met the other Native American students, and the longing for home. Sorry, the longing for your tribe, for your people, that was there. I met that in the program, and sorry, it's kind of emotional because it was a tough time in my life. And after my first semester, I was able to meet these people, and I kind of came home for winter break and repacked it in, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna give it one more try. To go back up there. So I went up there after winter break, and then I hung out at the Tiospaye program down underneath below the library, and I met the other Native American kids there, and it helped me. It helped me so much. It helped me not miss home. It helped me, when you're going through school, and it's like you see everybody there, and you see all the other basketball girls, and they're just going through it. They're just going through school. They know what they're doing. They know what their purpose is there in life. And they want to get a job, and they got their job. They're going to get their job. They're going to work. They're going to help society, And when you're Native American and when you come from the reservation, it's a little different. Your job is a little different here, and it was hard to find those kind of people, and I found them in the Tiospaye program. Your job coming from the reservation, you're held to a higher level. You're held more accountability. You have people on the reservation depending on you, and you have the reservation, like your people at home, depending on you to go out and get this degree and come home and help people. And I could not find that on my basketball team, and I hung out with them every day, and I could not find that. I could not find people who were as motivated as me, because I had this other weight on my shoulder to be successful, to finish school, to get my degree, to come back to the reservation and help the reservation, help the people at home. And so when I found those people, because the kids at the Tiospaye program, they were all from the reservation too, and they knew about the extra weight you carry, the extra eyes set on you as being that Native American student and going out and getting your degree. So it was important for me to stick with them and be around them, because I knew what they're going through, and they knew exactly what I was going through. When you're not necessarily working for this whole society. The society is just not the entire United States. It's your people at home, your people on the reservation. And so I was able to find that within the Tiospaye program and really just made home. I would be in the Tiospaye Center, every evening, and I met some of the greatest people there, Dr. Kerk including, and I met some great friends there through the program. And, we all helped each other. We all pulled for each other. We were all excited when we graduated, because we knew that it was, our job, our goal was accomplished. We celebrated everybody that graduated through there, and just the support. And even after the program, once, like Dr. Kerk said, once you're part of the Tiospaye, you're in it for life. After I graduated, I needed to take my FE and, get my PE along going. And Dr. Kerk was right there, set right beside me. And he says, we have these books, the PE books, the FE books, like you can get them and lease them and then give them back to the Tiospaye program, the Tiospaye Center. And so that helped me get my FE. Dr. Kerk was, the Tiospaye program was right there helping me even after I graduated. It was like a year after I graduated when I studied for my FE and got it. And the Tiospaye program loaned me the study material. And then I bought some on my own, and then I gave them all back to Dr. Kerk, because it really was a family, the Tiospaye extended family. You want to help those coming after you in your family. You want to help those, that might need them. And so true testament to the Tiospaye program was me going through there, wanting to give up, finding this program, and then coming out. I got my electrical engineering degree and doing what I need to do. Right now, I currently work at Salt River Projects, which is the local utility here in Arizona. And I'm doing exactly that. I'm working in innovation and development, and we are working with the Navajo tribe, something I've always wanted to do and what I feel like I went to school for. I'm working with the Navajo tribe on getting the carbon-free print hydrogen hub stuff out there on the Navajo Nation. So working with them, building relationships with the tribe, and that's what I'm doing right now. And this would have never existed if the Tiospaye program did not exist. And so for that, I'm endlessly grateful, super grateful to have met Dr. Kerk and, get the scholarship and work through basketball and work through school and have everybody, my Tiospaye extended family, there to help me through school, and still to this day reaching out and being able to, give my testament on this program. It is phenomenal, and the people a part of it are phenomenal. Dr. Kerk and leading it, the students within it, such a great program, and would definitely do anything I can to help it. I don't have the millions of dollars right now, hopefully one day, but anything I could do to help. And it's just, honestly, it's just a great program that the school has and Dr. Kerk is working on. So yes, that's kind of all I had. So
thank you, Heather. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And what I consider almost like a testimony for the Tiospaye program. I love hearing how it has impacted you. Dr. Kerk, did you want to come on and say a few more?
Well, I'm a professor. I don't, professors, we're kind of shy. We don't like to talk very much, but boy, Heather, thank you. That was so beautiful. We love Heather. She knows that everybody loves her, and we're just so proud of her. And one thing she didn't tell you about herself is something that she started doing got back to the last couple of years, because she grew up around horses, okay, and a little bit around rodeo, and then she got into basketball, and basketball was her whole life for a long time, and of course math. And then and by the way, she is our first Tiospaye graduate in electrical engineering, and that's quite an accomplishment there too. And then the last couple of years, she's gotten back on the horse, and she does roping and team roping, and I've got to go watch her at a couple of rodeos. She rodeos all over the country. I think, Heather, we should all be on your fan club, and you should always be publishing where you are, so your Hard Rocker fan club can follow you and root for you. It's so exciting to watch her rope. She's so talented, just a fabulous athlete and scholar. Okay. I'm trying to make her blush. But all right, so I'm going to jump back into my slides here and try to keep going, if that's okay with you guys.
Carter, when you go back into your slides, will you make it into presentation mode for us?
Well, I can't because my screen's broken.
Okay.
So we're going to have to put up with this. I should have told you that earlier, but can you see that okay?
Yes, we can.
It's probably not as wonderful as it maybe could be, but I'm going to get a new computer here next month, so don't be worrying about me, okay? All right. The Malone study rooms, here, the newly renovated Devereaux Library, which I don't know if you've seen, you've seen it yet, but it's so beautiful. They took out a lot of brick and added some windows, and down in the, I call it the garden level on the lower right, is the industrial engineering department and the Tiospaye Scholar Program in our Malone study rooms. You can see the beautiful mural that we have for Tiospaye that honors the Malone family and heritage. And then we have on the top right is the quiet study room, and on the bottom left is the group study room. The students basically have 24/7 access to these rooms. There's fridge, microwave, coffee maker, printer that doesn't have print credits. We have a smart projector, bookshelves, and just a lot of things to help support the students. So I wanted you to see that. Okay, so right now our big NSF funding ended in 2020, and since then we've doubled down with a different NSF National Science Foundation program called the All Nations Alliance for Minority Participation. It's not as much money as we had before and not as much money as we want to have going forward, but it's pretty good. We've been doing this actually for several years, but we really doubled down on it here recently. You can see there if a student has a GPA above a 2.5, they can get $1,200 a year. If they're above a 3.5, they can get $3,600 a year. And so we really, that's really our main funding, although we have several private scholarships. So pivoting to the future, our big vision for the future is we're trying to pivot to private funding. One thing I've learned, in case you can't tell, I'm elderly, and I've learned a lot of things along the way. And there's a game that professors can play where we can go out to agencies like NSF and write proposals and get funding for a couple of years. And that's great, but that's only for a couple of years, and it doesn't make things permanent. So we really are trying to build 2 permanent multi-million-dollar endowments. And I'd be glad to tell you more about those if you would like to hear. We are really interested now and in the future in getting annual gifts from corporations and individuals. In the future, we want to have more and larger scholarships and a couple different tracks, one track for low income preference and one track for academic talent. And we want to start a graduate student support program. So we're actually helping to fund like matching funds for graduate students, which we've never had in the past. More and better food. Food is always a good thing. I'm going to retire at some point and we'll get a new director in here, and that will be an endowed chair in one of the engineering science departments. We would have a full-time mentor with benefits, which in the past it was always part-time. And a lot of other support, which I don't really have time to talk about too much right now. Why it will work? Well, we know that if we just get our story in front of the right donors, we're looking at these multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire type donors. So if you are, I always tell people, if you're related or good friends with Warren Buffett, please let me get in touch with me. Call me today. Every scholar, you just got to hear Heather's story, and I have to tell you, there's so many powerful and meaningful stories out there, and each one of them is standing by to tell their story, and that's what we want to get them in front of the donors. Now, can I keep going now, Shelley, or do you want me to stop for questions before I talk about the Billy Mills project? I've only got about 4 slides on the Billy Mills project.
Go ahead and start with your Billy Mills project.
Okay, so if you haven't been wowed yet, you might be wowed on this part. Billy Mills is Lakota. He grew up on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. Most of you probably already know this story. He went on to win a gold medal at the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo in the 10,000 meters. Nobody from the Western Hemisphere, male or female, had ever done that before or has done it since. I idolized Billy Mills when I was a youngster because I read a book about him, and I was a distance runner, and I had always dreamed about meeting Billy Mills. Well, about 10 years ago, I'm sitting at the Rapid City Airport, and Billy Mills gets off the plane right in front of me, and I stepped in alongside of him and said, "Mr. Mills, I'm Carter. I work at the School of Mines with our American Indian programs," and he's a very kind person. He might even be on this he might even be in the audience here today. I've invited him anyway. And he said, "Can I tell you a story?" And he basically told the story about how he grew up loving to run. His mother passed away when he was really young, and he'd never run on a track before. And he came up to the School of Mines track when he was in middle school age, and he didn't have any special shoes or special clothes, and ran his first race on a track. And it was either 1 lap or 2 laps. We have a video of this whole thing now, so we've interviewed him, but he came in last place. And but at that point, he said he knew that he wanted to be a runner because he felt this connection with his mother, and he did not want to stop running. And so he goes from finishing last place on our track at the School of Mines to winning the gold medal at the Olympics. It's truly inspirational. And Billy Mills is probably the most inspirational person I've ever met. So what we want to do to honor his legacy and his connection, we want to connect him to our Tiospaye program, is we want to put a statue of Billy Mills, like the president statues in downtown Rapid City. We want a statue of Billy Mills out at the stadium, and tie him into this program. And I've already talked about this slide. And so we've already found a Lakota sculptor named Charles Rencounter, and Charles is very excited to get started. And we're chomping at the bit to let him help him get started. Billy Mills came and gave the commencement address in May of 22 at School of Mines and received an honorary degree. If you haven't heard that speech, we can send you the link so you can listen to it. Many have said it was the best commencement speech they've ever heard. So we would have this is the second multi-million-dollar endowment, and it would be this to endow the Billy Mills Scholarship Program, and every Billy Mills scholar then would be also connected to the Tiospaye program, and so on. And I could go on and talk to you for hours, and I would love to, by the way, but I'm going to stop now, Shelley, for questions. And if anybody has questions for Heather too, she would love to answer questions.
Thank you, Dr. Kerk. Can I get you to stop sharing your screen?
No, I want to keep Billy Mills on.
I know you do. Again, I want to thank you. All of those, we have 43 people online with us. And so if you have a question or something you'd like to ask either Heather or Dr. Kerk, please go ahead and put that in the Q&A. I don't see any in there right now. I've seen a lot of great chat though. I do have a question for Heather, if you are there. And while I'm talking, go ahead and add a question down below if you have one. Heather, how many people from your family have gone to college before you?
So before me, my mother was able to obtain her master's degree, her MBA, but my father went to high school. My grandparents were just medicine people. Like, they just herded sheep. And I was born and raised on the reservation, and school was not a priority back in their day. They just had to learn off the land and learn to survive that way. So my grandparents definitely just lived there. And then my mother was the only one in her family who was able to go to high school. And she was able to get a foster family that put her through high school and move off the reservation for high school and college, and then moved back. And now she's doing what everybody wants to do. She's working for the local chapter house there and being a part of the local society there, helping any way she can. So that's just her. And then before me, that was it.
Excellent. I know that I have met several of our students and graduates from the Tiospaye program, And for those that are listening, if you want to know how to say it correctly, you say it fast. That's what Dr. Kerk taught me, because I always slaughter it. You say it much better, Heather. But I've met many graduates and students that are currently in the program that they're one of the first generation in their family to make it to a college. And so that extra support, especially like you mentioned, Heather, inside of a group that understands your background and what you're working for is very much in need. And then Dr. Kerk, my next question is actually for you. If somebody doesn't have a multi-million-dollar bank account, but wants to help your program or help with time or things like that, what other ways can people give back or help with this program?
Great question. And first of all, I would say just be aware of the program and talk to us about it, learn about it, tell your friends about it, that it's just a great program that we have here at the School of Mines, and we should also all be very proud of it. If you're not Warren Buffett or closely related to a Warren Buffett type person, you're welcome to donate to the program through CARA. We would love to. We have several donors that are already doing that, and you can do that. Specify that you want to have a scholarship. It can be in your name that goes to a Tiospaye Scholar, for example, or you could provide us general support to help us buy food or just unrestricted funds. And you're always very welcome to do that. And we the students will write thank you notes. And we've started doing these thank you videos. And Shelley, maybe we can make some of those accessible to people that want to see them. They're fantastic. So yeah, there's lots of ways that you can help, but I think networking, we just want to network with you right now. That's really the first thing, just to know about our program.
Perfect. So spreading the word, getting the word out to other people about the program, even telling people about the school and the support here at South Dakota Mines for our Native American students. That's absolutely right. I have a couple questions out there. First one is, I think, directed towards you, Dr. Kerk. What is your success with retaining students?
Okay, got it. A couple of quick answers. Remember, I'm a professor. They can take an hour to answer a question. I'm going to try not to do that. Heather, leave your camera on because you're like the best thing here, okay? If you can. I think we've had great success with retention, but what I'm going to tell you, it's mostly anecdotal, because I know that just because I get personally involved with the students, and when they're struggling, we've found ways to help them. And we know that we've helped a lot of students persevere through difficult classes. And so anecdotally, I can tell you we've had great success. Now, we have been criticized, I'll tell you, that we haven't more scientifically evaluated our retention and other things. And I will agree with that, because we are so busy doing what we're doing, and we don't really have the extra resources to do that. And if you look closely at our plan for the future, we actually have money in there to have a researcher that will actually start help with our help of the team, the research team, that we will actually dig into that and actually have meaningful data that we can present back to you, as opposed to, hey, this old guy tells you that we've actually helped several students. And we've helped many students. We've had story. I'll tell you, one student showed up, came to our first meeting, and we didn't see him for 2 months. Okay. And I called him, I emailed him, I texted him, didn't see him. He wasn't answering. So I got together with Jesse Herrera, who was our director of multicultural affairs at the time. We went over to his room, his dorm room. We knocked on the door and he was having a good time. He came to college for the first time, and he had three meals a day, all he could eat. He had cable TV, and he wasn't going to any classes. Well, he left at the end of that semester and joined the military, and we're really proud of him, but he did not get a STEM degree yet. You never know, he may come back.
Excellent. Well, I have one more question. I have a couple questions. This one is for Heather and Carter, but I'm gonna direct it at Heather first. Do you think there are opportunities to reach out to students on reservations at a younger age to help them prepare for college, specifically a STEM degree?
Yes, I think the earlier on you put it in their head, the better, especially on reservations. I can't tell you, I went to the local elementary school there in I grew up in Round Rock, Arizona, and it's like the central part of the reservation. Our reservation's huge, but you don't hear engineers, you don't hear all the opportunity out there. You hear doctors, lawyers, all these, the things around there, but you don't hear of engineers, or you don't, I didn't even know what I was going to do coming out of, growing up out of high school. I kind of just started playing basketball, and then I was like, well, this seems like a good deal. And then I kind of just fell into it. I was truly, honestly amazed by the, electricity side and power and all of that, considering I didn't grow up with it. So it was amazing at the age of 12 when we were able to flick the light on. That never occurred to me until, I was 12 years old, and it was, and a lot of that happens on the reservation. A lot of that happens, and there's not much, I want to say there's not much, I'm trying to look for a word, but there's not much exposure to other types of STEM degrees besides, the doctors and the lawyers and, those types. But definitely, I think at a younger age, now my nieces, I have, 3 little nieces, and they know what engineers are. They know what we do. They know we're problem solvers. We're trying to help the world and do better, and, help these things. And they never knew, civil engineers do the roads, and, they didn't know all these things. So definitely at a younger age. And now they know, so it's great. It's great to get them at a younger age and to show them the successes. And like I said, I never knew an engineer in my community. I have a community of about 600 people. Never knew an engineer, and it was never brought up. It was never a thing. So the exposure to that in the schools, and I think it would be is the way to help them.
Okay. Well, I have kind of a follow-up to that, although you've answered it a bit. It says, Heather, what is an experience or something that you wish you were exposed to in high school to introduce you to a STEM education? Or do you have ideas to get younger generations exposed to it?
Yes, I really wish we played a lot of, like, honestly, for like in school, like the how-tos that they show on TV, and exemplify like everybody that took part in it, like their job details, and what they actually do from a day-to-day basis. And I really think that if they break it down into what everybody does in high school, we're given all these certain curriculum to do, but what to do with it, I feel like it's a lot of that's missing in a lot of high school curriculum. And in the junior high, like, you're given all these math stuff, what can you do with it, what do you need this for, kind of thing. And ideas to get the younger generation exposed to, honestly, I personally think that just being a walking, living proof of it, telling them what I'm doing, telling them I do substations, I, seen the power plant, this is how the power plant works, I work there, and I go back to my school now, Round Rock Elementary School, and I speak to the kids, because they don't know what I do on a daily. So I, bring up all these cool things. And definitely, I think what Dr. Kerk's doing, going out to the school and, bringing the, like somebody like me, people that went through the program, people that are out doing engineering to this day, problem solving, and showing them that what they do and how fun it is and how great it can be. So
excellent. Yep. Having ambassadors like you guys out there.
Can I add to that a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, we know how to do that. We have done it in the past. Right now, we're a little limited on entry-level scholarships, so it's kind of hard to go out to really recruit hard right now because we don't have that many scholarships for college students at the moment. We're trying to get back to that. But in that big multi-million-dollar endowment plan, we will use what we've learned in the past, and we will have very active recruiting programs for K through 12 and Heather's exactly right. The best role models is to use our current students and our alumni to go back into their own communities. And but through South Dakota Gear Up, through the Build a Computer program, through the NASA Honors Program, and the science fair. Right now, our ACES student chapter has got big plans to try to have an American Indian Science and Engineering fair there that they've been working on. So we know how to do it, but we're trying to get back to where we have the foundation to do it.
So this leads me to two more questions for you, Dr. Kerk. However, we're starting to run out of time, so I'm going to ask you to be brief about them. But my first one is in order to set up a scholarship, who do we reach out to about this? And is there a minimum amount that needs to be met annually, or can it be in a lump sum? And I can answer that if you need me to. Would you like me to? Okay. So there are some minimums to start up scholarships. There's the ones where you can pay for it every year. That's about that they need to have at least $4,000 to start getting that scholarship going. And then what I would do is reach out to any of our CARA staff. Brad Johnson, Amanda, Mike, Paul can all help you with that. There is a lump sum if you want an endowed scholarship, and I believe that is $30,000 to get that endowed one. So that way, what happens is after 3-4 years, depending on the market, that endowed scholarship interest will pay for a scholarship every year, and it's a living, it just keeps going forever, as long as the market stays solvent. Then my next question for you, Dr. Kerk, is what is your succession plan for the Tiospaye program? As we know, you can't work forever, although I think you can. I think we go with that.
Well, first, let me jump back onto that. First question is, if you want to establish a scholarship, or and you want it to be tied to the Tiospaye program, make sure that you specify that in your agreement with CARA that you want it tied to the Tiospaye program, and that way we can get involved.
Yes.
Number two, and any amount is appreciated, believe me. All right, what's the succession plan? Yeah, I'm going to turn 65 next month, and I'm hoping that Heather finishes up her PhD in electrical engineering and comes back to be a professor, although that's not likely. But we would love for you to do that, Heather. But that succession plan is, again, built into our plan for the multi-million-dollar endowment, that we would recruit a professor, and the professor would have to have the heart for it too, but it's really built in to be a successful model for a professor where they can actually have the time to work on this and still be an asset to their department and have the money there at their, and then of course be a board of directors and so on. So yeah, I would love to talk about that more, but
so Carter is working on it. That's what I hear you say there. So I love that.
I'm not ready to retire yet.
Good. I'm also glad to hear that too. Well, before we say goodbye, I did want to share real quick, do a plug-in for our alumni event. We have an alumni event, and look at me running into the problem Carter was having. Coming up next month. We actually have several events happening, but we have our Hard Record Trivia Night. This is Trivia Mafia. It's the world's greatest virtual game. I like to call it, Are You Smarter Than a Frosh? But this is for not just alumni, but also our students. Feel free. You guys all know how to use virtual events as you are on this Zoom. So reach out to your fellow graduates from the years you went to college, fellow alumni, create your own group or sign up as a single person, and we'll put you in a group that evening. It's at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So whatever time, we try to make it an easy enough time so those out east and out west can join us too. Students are going to be joining you too. And so there will be some prizes and giveaways along the way on that also. And then we have tons of alumni events happening around the nation, mainly in the Midwest, but we're trying to get them out further. As you can see, we are also in San Diego this coming month of March. We'll be in Phoenix. We are out in, we'll be in Tucson. We'll be in Omaha, where Minneapolis area is doing some events. Of course, Always Rapid is doing a great job of doing events there too. So we want to have events in your area. So please reach out to me anytime. I put my email in the chat, or it's reply to any of the emails you get from the CARA office. And they, as long as they didn't come directly from like Amanda or Mike, they'll come right back to me. So I'd love to hear from you. And I want to thank both Dr. Kerk and Heather for bringing and sharing the Tiospaye program with us and for the great work you're doing, and for being so vulnerable with us today, Heather. I really appreciate that, to see what this program has meant to you and how it has helped you. I am excited to see where this program goes, because I can see the students as I walk across campus and as I get to meet them over in the Tiospaye room, and what it means to them to have you guys and have that support here on campus. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and I hope to see you at next month's virtual lunch and learn with our Ivanhoe International Center. Thank you guys. Have a great day.